Hi. I haven't uploaded here in a while, and I'm gonna talk about why. And I'm gonna kind of give something that I normally don't do, and yeah, I'm just gonna go into it. I'm not even gonna try to preamble this. So I have created this channel to essentially be a place where I could talk about things going on in my head, what I'm thinking about, how I feel, and that was supposed. It was almost like a. I guess you could consider this channel like a diary of sorts, where I could just talk about shit like positive, negative, just vent about life and such. And I didn't, for some strange reason, think that I could upload here without making a video about something that was very something I wanted to talk about. And it's been since I want to say either December or January. I'm not exactly sure, and I don't want to look it up while I'm recording right now. But it's been a long time coming, and and at this point, the video I wanted to make has transformed so much from just covering specific issues to a whole long video that was scripted, which just felt wrong and disingenuous to this channel. I've re-recorded it angry. I've re-recorded it sad. I've tried to be in the center. I've tried to do so much to make this work, but I don't think I can. And that really sucks. And the conclusion that I'm going to come to today on this video is probably not going to be one that people are going to love to hear, but I'm going to say what I've been thinking for a while, and I'm going to go on, and I'm going to try to put facts forward as well, and talk about some stuff, but I'm not going to go too in depth because I don't need to be labeled as some moron who doesn't do research, some person who is just supporting one specific side of a story instead of focusing on, all the other, and like, no, I'm going to stick to facts, and I'm going to put out what I think is a fact, probably more an opinion, but I don't know anymore, honestly. And before I do, I want to just say videos on here will return to normal after this because once I get this video out, I'm just going to focus on talking about everything else that I want to talk about. And that's just going to be that because there's a lot of stuff I've been doing and I want to just talk about it because, I love this channel. I love the idea of this channel. It's almost like a diary of sorts, I guess. But yeah. Now I want to clarify. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. Not independent. Not green or anything. I am a person who is registered to no party. I have no stake in this war that goes on with politics because I think all sides are kind of stupid and don't really give as much of a shit usually. I think there are good people in politics. I'm not going to sit here and say that every person in politics is a monster. I just think that, like a lot of things in life, there are a lot of people who are much shittier, and they are always the louder people. And the people who are actually trying to do good things, they don't ever get the credit that they deserve. And I think that really sucks. So before, if you see this video and you're not a part of my normal audience and you think he's a liberal because he said this, or he's a conservative because he thinks this, I'm not. I'm just a person who has ideas that can lean in either direction, but I don't label myself as such because I don't agree with the fundamentals of every single ideology because that's stupid to limit your thinking. At least in my eyes, it's dumb to limit yourself to just one line of thought. And if you don't hear other people out and consider things, then you're only limiting yourself, honestly. And that's not great. I think that limiting intelligence is absolutely insane. And I think learning as much as you fucking can in this lifetime is important because then you can hold conversations with people. Then you can talk about things and be informed. You don't have to know everything, but I think it's important to understand as much as possible about the world that we live in that interests us and sometimes the things that don't interest us. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of people who think this way, and I don't think this is like not a fact anymore. Donald Trump is a detriment to the United States of America and has caused nothing but trouble and turmoil and shuttered just a lot of growth that did exist. And like, this is based on facts. I'm not going to make this some political factoid video. This is an opinion venting channel. This is not that. There are plenty of ways that you can do this. And I will say this right now. If you really want information, this isn't sponsored. If you really want good information and you want to know, like, is this factual? Is there a bias? Just go get a fucking Ground News subscription. Like, it is so much easier to consolidate it into a service and go with people who are going to actually show facts and information. So here's my thoughts. There is an economic contraction in the United States. Jobs are down, in terms of growth in the private sector, I believe it is. And I mean, even then, unemployment's going to go up anyway. From like, I think it was 4.0 or 4.2 to like 4.3. And a lot of people are about to get kicked off of their health insurance, their Medicaid and Medicare coverage, their food stamp coverage, school meals. There's been a defunding of the weather program, or like they're not using it nearly as fucking much, which like absolutely insanity. And there are people who are just being told, no, you're wrong and stupid, and they're not providing facts and information. And unfortunately, a lot of them are Republicans. And that's not to say that every Republican is a bad person. I know Republicans, or I've seen Republicans, that have actually stood up and done what they could to do things that are right. And unfortunately, what I think it is that part of it is like, the money element of it all. Because, you have to make sure that you don't upset your donors. But like, why is that a thing? Why is it that like laws and such can be manipulated by money? I know why. Like, that you don't need to say it. It's rhetorical. But like, it's insane to me to think that. And what's worse is that the casualty is the American people. Because if you're a filthy commie Democrat, as Republicans say, then you're just some fucking idiot that doesn't care about America's freedom, and they're willing to send you to jail or throw you out of the country because you talk shit about Grand Poobah Trump, Which is, again, stupid, because it's freedom of speech in the First Amendment of the goddamn Constitution. So if I don't like something that's being said, or I want to make a meme, that's not me being an ass. That's, that's conversation, But also, the people who sit there and say that every single Republican is just someone out to fuck you over and screw you down, that's insane too. And I know that's crazy with everything I've kind of went on, but let's face the facts. The Republican Party, for anyone who's supporting Trump, they're not Republicans. Republicans are a much dignified, reach across the aisle party that exists somewhat still in some people that I know. And then there's the MAGAs. And the MAGA people are fucking nuts because they don't care about you or me. I mean, I've watched interviews, people just denouncing basically any sense of republicanism, and it's just all hail Trump. That's a religion. That's like a cult almost, Like, he's going to be the savior because he's like, if you look into anything that he's done, it has basically always failed. Like, I don't know how else to really look at it. And if you look at the facts of how the global tariffs have fucked shit over, and Taco and all of these things that he has done, what you have to recognize is that he's not good for the country. He is just legitimately, like, he has essentially poisoned the water hole, and he is spreading misinformation. He's suing news organizations for reporting on news and shit, or like things that he doesn't like. He's gotten law offices to capitulate to him. He's using cryptocurrency to give people access to the White House, and he's profiting off of that. And he's profiting off of other things, and he hasn't been forced to like remove his assets, and he's been given pretty much unlimited power to do whatever he wants with executive orders. And now with nationwide injunctions, which I don't think are a great way to stop it, and I think that there should be better ways to counteract the president, Now, that thing that was stopping so many things, like birthright citizenship that is in the Constitution being taken away, are now gone. You know, the President of the United States should not even be president because he was a felon, but because the Supreme Court created something out of whole cloth saying, oh, well, technically, like now, he is able to remain in that office. You know, there are so many things that he has done wrong. I mean, the insurrection, I mean, he fucking legitimately pardoned insurrectionists. There are so many things every single day. And you know, he's okay with people like dying to like alligators and shit in Florida. There is so much I could talk for hours. Like, have you ever heard a fucking president of the United States besides Donald Trump say shit like this? You know? Like, have you ever heard someone like that say they are okay with people dying and going to a country because, you know, there are people who have come to this country, and yes, it's illegal immigrants and all. You know, it is bad, but like, you know, why is it also such a fucking massive hurdle too to get into this country? And then if people have been here for 40, 50 years and they're paying into taxes, but they're not receiving any benefits and shit, why are you complaining? They're not stealing anything from you. In fact, they're paying into your system. You know, it's like right now, MAGA mentality is just so ass backwards because like, they're not looking at facts and they just don't care. They're just enriching themselves. That is what it is. That is essentially all it fucking is enrichment. And billionaires and millionaires just doing whatever the fuck they want. And you know, I love when Elon comes in and tries to white knight his way back into the public's favor, saying, don't support the big beautiful bill that's going to strip people of this and this and this, when you're the one who pretty much funded the campaign that got him into power. Now, I know this is all over the place, this video. I know that this is not, like, squarely front and center, everything, like you know what I mean. But what I will tell you is that that's how my brain is with this shit. Because none of it makes fucking sense. You know, when the guy acts like a king that is the president of the United States, that's not good. Yeah, we don't have dictators. We don't have... I hate saying it, but look at history and look at what happened. The last time that someone did something like this and they blamed one particular side of the situation, and then all of a sudden, you know, Hitler becomes chancellor of the fucking German country, and then he does all these things that, like, persecute people and forcing them into camps, which is happening here. You know, you have attacks on science, attacks on literature, attacks on freedom of speech, which again is all happening here. You have a secret police, the same with what ICE is essentially doing, deporting American citizens, which, like, again, it doesn't take much to do research into, like, where these people are, but, like, it's like, where they're getting, like, the factuality of the, you know what I'm trying to say, the factuality of the information. It's not hard to find, you know, and I have no beef with someone who got bought in by this, you know? If someone who doesn't stay informed went out and voted just because they heard all these things, and they said, oh wow, we're gonna have a great economy, we're gonna do this, that, and the third, fine, whatever. You know, if this is your first time voting, or, you know, you don't follow anything, you know, I can't be upset. I mean, I can be, because this is the second time he's been in office. But, like, if you thought, oh, it was just because of what... I don't even know how to justify it, but, like, giving the benefit of the doubt. But, like, if you're coming around now and you're realizing, oh, this is fucked, I ain't mad. You know, I'm glad that you're realizing that this isn't good. That doesn't make you a Democrat. That just makes you fucking human and recognizing, like, the atrocities that exist in this world going on right now. And it's really fucking sad that this is where we are at. Where so much of the country is pretty much against him, but there's still this, like, very large vocal minority that still exists, that is just kissing his ass and sucking the shit out of it, you know? Like, that's the only... I'm sorry for the vivid imagery, but, like, seriously. Seriously. I don't get it anymore. I don't understand what is happening with all of this. Because I just don't... I don't get how people can look at this man and think everything that he has done, every policy has done, and how it's benefiting anyone, really, except for, like, a specific class of people. And how bills that are being pushed through and be almost like they know what they're doing. Like, I mean, they know what they're doing. I mean, a lot of these bills are going to affect fucking red states, so I don't even know what the hell the point is. Is it like a suicide bombing on the fucking Republican Party, I don't know. It feels like they just don't care about their party anymore. And I'm worried that what's going to happen is that they're going to just split off completely. They're going to say, all right, we are now the party of MAGA. And now we are not Republicans anymore. We're MAGA. And then you have the Republicans who are, quote unquote, probably too chicken shit to just accept the fact of what real republicanism looks like or some shit. Like, that's the insanity of it. That's how it feels. It almost feels like either they have to know what they're doing, and either they're gonna like split off or they're gonna like I don't know. I can't put it together. It's so fucking insane. This whole thing going on. It feels like they just don't care about people. Like the people who are vocally supporting Trump, they're not real Republicans. And anybody who's trying to just reach across the aisle and try to do things on the Democratic side and like it doesn't feel genuine when like something like when Chuck Schumer with that thing like that was shitty with that thing where he fucking was like, yeah, we can't let the government shut down, and I get why. I understand fully why you can't let the government shut down, because then you would have given him more power to just do whatever he wants much faster. But at the same time, he's done. I mean, he bombed Iran. He did all these fucking terrible fucking things. And he's not out of office yet. Destroying the country. I don't know why. Like, they don't bring him up against crimes against fucking humanity at this fucking point for the shit he does to people. I mean, like Kilmar, Abrego, Garcia guy, everything. Do you know how insane it is to me? Do you know how insane that all is? And that's and the point of this video is that it's supposed to sound a little fucking nuts and all over the fucking place because there's just so much crap. And if you look at it from a factual standpoint, he shouldn't be fucking in office. He should have never fucking won because of the shit he did in his first term. But now in the second term, why are there still people supporting him? Why are there still people who love the fact that people are going to not have health insurance and shit? I know people who will be affected by this. I know people who genuinely are like in need of these services and programs because of whatever they have going on in their lives. And if people just work together, it would be better. If politics didn't have money in it, it would be better. But no, we can't do that because corporations are people too, and we can't. I just don't know, man. I don't know. So I'm adding this in after the fact because I don't think I actually got to say one other big point that I had that I wanted to like really, really bring up. The thing for me, really too, is this unfortunate fact that it feels like you can scream this out to people. You can tell them. They can be so hyper acutely aware of all of this. And sometimes people just won't care. And they're like, oh, well, the country's going to get destroyed anyway, so why should I fucking give a shit? America's already been going down for years and blah, blah, blah. But, like, it doesn't have to. If we fight against policies and such, if we hold the people in power, accountable, and, you show them by, vocalizing your opinion, calling in, to Congress. Like, you can do that. You can call in and leave, like, responses for your congressman of the Senate and the House, and you can say, I don't support this bill. Please do not vote for this. Or I don't support the things that you are saying on the news. Please fucking put what's best for the people of blah, blah, blah to good use and shit. But it feels like a lot of people, despite the fact of having information or having facts, will sometimes just plainly ignore it. And I understand. Trust me. But it's like, you can't ignore this because this is eventually going to affect you. I mean, I probably will never buy a house. I will probably never be able to do half the things that my father, my mother, people generations before me were ever capable of doing. And I probably will never have the same sort of luxuries in life. Like, I can be smart, I can do certain things, but if the cost of everything balloons so out of control and shit, I'm never gonna be able to do it. And that's the thing that scares me. It scares me more than anything. That it just feels like it's sometimes not a matter of people not knowing, it's just sometimes a matter of people not caring. And that scares me more. Is that when someone recognizes a problem, but they're like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. But there's so much you can. If people work together and they try to fight the injustices that go on in this world, You have to stand up for what you believe is right. You can't just sit there and say it's too hard, because it's not. It has to be that we, as a world, work together. We, the people, that's in the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, provide for the common defense. I know some of it offhand. I don't know all of it. I'm not reading from a script right now. I was a very big history buff as a kid, honestly, when I was in school. But the point that scares me, I think, the most out of all of this, is that, again, it's just terrifying that there are just people out there who just don't care, or they don't want to be informed because, it's so stressful with the news. And again, I get it. But these are times that you need to be, It's not what we want, but it's what we have to do to protect our rights, our freedoms. Because there is a guy who has came into office and is consolidating power, and basically slowly trying to force himself to be a king, a tyrant, a dictator. History is only going to repeat itself if we do not learn it. And if we do not learn our own history, we are doomed to repeat it. That is the one thing I have heard over and over and over again from family, friends, school teachers, news, everywhere. And right now I'm really scared that the things I'm seeing unfold in this country are just repeats. It's just a repeat marathon of things that have happened, unfortunately. It's terrifying, but we have the power to stop it. But anyway, I am at a point where this is my thought process. In my community, if you are blindly supporting Donald Trump and you think he's doing nothing wrong, all I ask is that you leave my community, because I don't want you here. Because if you don't want to take the time to recognize facts and information, and you just want to go blindly off of what one person says, and you don't want to fact check, you don't want to do anything, don't be in my community. Don't be here. But if you want to have actual conversations and talk about it, and have healthy debates about this sort of stuff, and you've done your research and your facts, and you want to talk about it, great. That's what I want. I want people who are gonna because and unfortunately, and I hate saying it this way, but I don't think there is a challenge for this. But still, it's better than just fucking blindly believing something, and not being open to the idea that something needs to be. If you keep yourself away from change of mind, I'm not saying I'm trying to change your mind. What I am saying is that I think people need to be open to the idea that sometimes they don't know everything, and that someone will lie to them. And you have to recognize when that happens. Because it is a crazy world right now. And I feel good saying it this way, because this covers, I think, everything I probably wanted to cover in all of the videos. I mean, not everything. There's still plenty I could go on about. And I don't plan to make another video like this. And I know this is a mishmash. I know this is all over the place. And I know I am just fucking sounding like I'm frustrated. But this is just the truth. I am frustrated as hell. And I'm terrified. Because, there are people that are running our country, that are in Congress, that are willing to just do what they have to just keep their jobs and shit. But, you're also destroying people's lives. I don't understand how anyone can be okay with that. But, yeah, we're going to go back to just the normal stuff on here. I'm going to try to talk about some fun things in my personal life that I want to talk about. And I hope that this video inspires people to look for facts, look for information. Again, this is not a fact and information channel, but everything I said, you can easily fucking find it online. You can easily find numbers and facts and information. And, there's a lot of center sources that are really good. If I'm to suggest any source, go to Reuters. They just report what happened, and that's all they do. They don't put their opinion in the matter. They just report. And I like them. Because they're just not taking a left or a right stance, and that's all I ask for. And they're extremely factual according to the biases reports on Ground News and everything, and the factuality reports, and they're like widely accepted sort of fact checkers and bias checkers. So, again, thank you for watching. I know this will probably not be something. There'll probably be some people who will just go in the comments and say I'm just dumb and stupid and dumb, but I need to get this video out, because if I don't, I'm never gonna upload to this channel again. So yeah, hope you have a good day.